Welcome. Glad to have you. I'm Neil Cavuto, and I still don't know whether Republicans will take the Senate, but I do know they shouldn't be taking victory laps if they do. Because while Democrats might be down for the count now, count on some steadily improving economic numbers to put them right back in the hunt 2 years from now. Let me explain. Maybe not in time to help them next week. Who knows? But I am telling you, try 2 years from next week. Stocks hitting new highs today, only the latest sign that the stock market, at least, could tell a good story for Democrats. Predicting markets is always perilous, but Republicans dismissing the market's performance and how the other side will seize on that performance is dangerous too. The GOP can rightly point out the free money Federal Reserve sparked a lot of this, and some serious corporate cost cutting contributed to a lot of this. But I am telling you, Democrats will seize on this, and the fact that all the market averages have more than doubled under this Democratic president. Trust me, they will, just like they will point to housing coming back, retail sales coming back, jobs coming back. Now, I'm the first to point out none of them are storming back, but for the economy, clearly it is off its back. So let me be clear. I don't think the president or Democrats should take credit for all of this, but they will. And if you think about it, why not? We tend to blame the party in the White House for stuff that goes wrong, so it shouldn't be all that surprising that party will happily run with what goes right. That's why I suspect Republicans might want to calm down, whooping it up. Remember, 4 years ago, the grand old party romped as well. 2 years later, well, they weren't romping. Now, I'm not saying Republicans are about to repeat history, but they just might want to remember history. To the Fox Biz All-Stars, Adriana Cohen and Rob Basso and Kayleigh McEnany. Kayleigh, what do you make of that?
You know, Neil, I think you have a point. The economy is coming back.
I have more than
you. You always have a good point.
Yeah, there we go.
But 64% of Americans still feel they're in a recession. So
Absolutely.
there are some good indicators.
Absolutely.
But the feeling on the ground doesn't measure up to the indicators. Labor force participation, 92 million Americans out of work, nearly a third of the country. So I think the reality is people are still hurting.
All right, but, you know, it goes with the market and the rally and everything else that you always use as your metric in a campaign, whether you're Republican or Democrat, and that's the metric they're going to seize on.
Well, but I call it Obama fatigue, okay? We've had the NSA problem, the IRS problem, the lack of a reaction on Ebola. We've had the ISIS issue, any other acronym you can think of, the Affordable Care Act. But the simple fact is, you're right. People are feeling more stressed now than they ever had because they feel like their wages are back in 2007. Wages have not kept up with inflation. People might not be feeling better. The economy might be healthier, but if they don't feel it in their pockets, what's the point?
Adriana, what do you make of all this?
I agree with both of my co-panelists here. You know,
this is like what they call a pile-on in journalism, but continue the beating.
I agree. You know, these latest, you know, reports that are coming out that are positive about the economy is nice, but it's Americans aren't feeling it, and then also. Bad news on Obamacare is yet to hit the fan. The CBO reports that over 2 million Americans are going to lose millions of jobs, you know, by 2016. And so we're still yet to feel that. And then Obamacare is causing our labor workforce to shift from a full-time workforce to a part-time one.
All right, Kayleigh, play it around here. Whatever you're all right to say that there are big nuances and big caveats to a lot of the numbers and the data I alluded to. But you know how it goes when they gather, each party gathers for its respective convention. They run with the data they have. And this is a party, that is Democrats, who will seize on where they were when they came in versus where they are now, presuming that this were to continue. Lackluster though it is, but it continues. Yeah. Will that mean that Republicans who are seizing on big gains this year see them evaporate in 2 years?
I still think that it's the reality, it's the pocketbook, it's exactly what you said. And I think that people are hurting, they're feeling it, and I don't think any number of economic indicators can change that. I think this president can throw it out all he wants, Hillary can throw it out all she wants, but the recovery's not there like it should be.
And Neil, why isn't he out there stumping for his party? In fact, he's almost like
they don't want him to. You're right.
They don't want him to.
You're right about that.
But why don't they want him to? If the economy's doing great and everybody's doing better than they were 3, 4, 5 years ago, why not have the president stand behind and say, look what we've done? But that's not what's happening.
But Adriana, I could also look at it, the president and Hillary Clinton, if she were to be the nominee, they're in a box too, because if they were to point to the surge we've seen in the Dow and how well stocks are done when they've been pretty busy, you know, sort of you-know-what on Wall Street, that puts them in a bit of a box. They can't brag about something that they routinely bash. What do you think?
I agree. And Hillary Clinton's recent statements that corporations and businesses don't create jobs is absolutely absurd. And it's major blunders.
I think she knows that. I'm going to say I think she knows that is a stupid remark, but I think she's just trying to, address and protect her flank on the left so that no one gets any bright ideas to vote for someone else. That happened to her 8 years ago, 6 years ago, but she doesn't want to risk that again.
Right, but the majority of Americans are going to be voting against President Obama's policy. So why would you want to stay left of your party when the majority of Americans are against that?
I don't think she has to worry about being left of her party. That would be like being in Russia. But I don't think she has to worry about that. What do you think, Hillary?
One thing I do want to point out, I think Republicans would be wise to tout the economy because I think it's to their advantage. Democrats, however, are going to be tempting Republicans, taunting them to get off the economy and get on social issues. That would be a huge mistake.
That's helped them in some of the closer conflicts.
And those that want to compare the Clinton era from Bill to what we're going through right now in this country would be ill-advised. And Hillary is not Bill.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, because every time Bill Clinton goes out and campaigns, as he will in Iowa and Colorado and some of these other states where there's some cliffhangers, he reminds voters all over again, hey, we like that guy.
Yeah.
We don't like the other guy, Democratic guy. All right,
That's right.
Go ahead and finish that point.
I was going to say, and also, in this midterms, foreign policy is on Americans' minds. Voters realize how important our national security is, and that's been in jeopardy under President Obama's failed leadership with ISIS and Iran and Russia and more. And so I think voters are going to put that in the forefront of their consciousness on Tuesday.
We'll see, but I'm just telling you, and I just remember what happened 4 years ago. The Republicans thought they were off to the races and the president was going to be a one-termer. It doesn't always pan out the way Republicans think, and they have a history of grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory, if not immediately down the road. We'll watch. In the meantime, Well, Facebook getting a little political now. The mega-social network announcing that it'll be digging into Facebook profiles to report on what issues in Canada its users are pretty hot on. That would be you, if you're a Facebook customer. Mark Zuckerberg's big immigration reform push is one of the things he likes, but does that mean he's going to be tapping what you're sending friends to see whether that's what you like? And should he be sharing that with anyone? Well, Adriana, you have your doubts, right?
I have strong doubts. I mean, first of all, we know that Mark Zuckerberg is a liberal. He's pushing for amnesty. So if he finds out in this study that the majority of Facebook users are against amnesty, is he truthfully and honestly going to tell the American people that? Or will his results be skewered because he doesn't want to affect policy that he's against? I also have a problem with one of his partners in this data mining expedition, and that's ABC News. They're a left-leaning broadcast outlet. And so are they truly going to be telling the American people nonpartisan news? I think what Mark Zuckerberg needs to do is he needs to put a conservative watchdog group in as one of these partners to at least give the appearance that he's going to be giving balanced, truthful news to the American people.
Well, I just have a problem left to right with him taking that information at all, Kayla.
I agree. I don't appreciate anyone spying on my Facebook activity.
That's what I think he's doing. Kayla, what do you think?
He's only mimicking what the Obama campaign did, which was remarkable, their use of Facebook. It was so specific, so
and
detailed.
social networking sites in general.
Yeah, it was so specific. So they essentially would data mine. This is what he's doing now. The Obama campaign would data mine, find you, look at your friends, and target you specifically and say, talk to your friend in West Virginia about coal mining and tell him why you should vote Obama.
Let me talk to my friend about that. I don't want that to be used for you to collect data.
Let's not forget that everybody's giving this information freely. They're putting it out on the web for the world to see.
But I'm giving it to you. Let's say you and I are communicating. I'm not giving it to him to collate the data and then get to ABC News for an election report.
What they're saying is they're obviously going to make it anonymous. They're aggregating this information. 48% of voters get their political information from Facebook. That is startling. Of course, the other 50% get it from Mr. Cavuto. But the simple fact is the world is a changing place. And if this
so you don't have a problem with him tapping into this audience and relaying what they're saying?
I think it's a slippery slope, but I really don't have an issue with it because people are giving this information freely. Yeah.
What do you think of that, Ada? That we might not like what he's doing or what his political motives might be or how he might hook up with a left-leaning news organization, but he's got this huge base of users. and he's just sort of leveraging off that base.
I know he's leveraging it. I can understand the temptation because there's a lot of information and content there. But I'm not trustful. I mean, look, our own government lies to us. They scrub talking points over 10 times after Benghazi. So how do we know that his findings won't be scrubbed and manipulated to achieve his intended outcome? Let's say with the issue of amnesty. And so I have a problem with the spying. And then also the American people, the people on Facebook, are losing control over where their personal information is being shared. So we know that this government targeted conservatives via the IRS. So let's say someone like me targets someone like.
Go ahead.
But isn't the whole point of an election to supposed to get what people are really thinking? If this is what people are really thinking, you know, should we be hiding?
So you think it would have some value there?
I disagree. I think Zuckerberg doesn't have a self-interest in manipulating the data. However, the mainstream media, they're pushing an agenda. That is what they do. There are stats to prove it.
And
Media
isn't
Research
that
Center.
end of the media, isn't that audience going to be more left-leaning anyway?
Yes,
Right.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you think that's controversial? Would you believe this controversy? Some of you apparently thought that this photo of me was airbrushed. Wow. After this. Well, remember, this used to frighten us, our debt. But it's a debt issue this election. Not only are Republicans not hammering the spending message that led to a 2010 House takeover, but now Moody's is saying, what are you worried about? Our U.S. finances are just fine. Kaylee, is there a danger that we're ignoring this $18 trillion debt, and furthermore, agencies are happy to put a stamp on it?
Yes, there's a huge threat to that. And by the way, this is the one place millennials are wise, because when they were asked what's your #1 national security issue, they said the national debt. You know who agrees with them? Former chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Mike Mullen, Obama's own former Joint Chief of Staff, said
he says it's a security threat.
Yes, it is a security threat. It absolutely is. And by the way, if you want more on this, Liz McDonald has an excellent article, Fox Business, about how our Treasury holdings can be used as leverage by countries like China to influence public policy.
We've already seen that they do.
Yeah, I think kicking this can down the road, we just keep doing this as a nation, and to me, it's disturbing. I mean, the simple fact is, I think the rate right now is 75% of the size of our total economy is held by foreign debtors. By 2030, it's going to be 88%. How comfortable does that make us feel? You know, I don't understand.
No, I see what you're saying. And I think what the Moody's and others are saying was that we've got a better control of this because presently our deficits are coming down. Well, never mind the fact that there's still north of $500 billion, and every dollar more we spend than we take in is added to that debt at that $18 trillion, and that's just like a ticking time bomb.
It certainly is, and we cannot keep kicking the can down the road. First of all, it's unconscionable to pass along this enormous debt to our children and our grandchildren.
Yeah, but Republicans aren't talking about it, Adriana. They're just not. And maybe they just don't feel it's a galvanizing issue, but they're not.
That's right. I agree. And Republicans are part of the problem because even though they're against the sky-high debt, they agree to raising the debt ceiling. So the first thing we need to do is stop raising the debt ceiling, because there's no point in implementing a debt ceiling if you keep raising it. It becomes, you know, laughable at that point. But you know, I'm personally in favor of a balanced budget amendment. I know that might be a pie-in-the-sky thing, and we may never see that. But really, it is sound policy so that we can, you know, basically balance our books, so that no matter who comes into the Oval Office, we always are not, you know, we're not going to be.
I agree with you on why this is an issue that matters, but Kayla, I worry more when both parties more or less say, well, it's not an issue that matters politically, so we're not going to make it an issue.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head when you say it's both parties. The reason Republicans don't want to talk about this is because they contributed to the problem. And this is an issue where really either party, we need to figure someone to come in and say, this is my issue and I'm going to fix it.
Because anytime you fix it, and we're up to this point, someone's going to take heat for it.
We've got ways to fix it. You can have more immigration to have our tax rolls go up. You can raise the Social Security wage limit to collect more taxes. They're just unpopular.
Both are going to be really popular, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We have ways to fix this that's in our capability. We just choose not to make these large decisions.
Yeah.
I agree, because nobody wants to be the heavyweight and cut spending, because that's the #1 thing that needs to be done. No matter how much liberals want to raise taxes, and we know they love to take our money and spend our money, that's not enough to bring down this debt. We have to do massive
Someone's going to have to be brave and do something, though, and they don't do it. Neither party does it, actually. So, but when they shrug their shoulders and say, well, we've got Moody's covering our you-know-what and says it's fine, that's not helping anyone. But guys, thank you very much. Take a quick break here. Now, remember I told you how good Democrats were at getting out the vote? Well, listen up, Republicans. Proof They are doing a lot better than you think.
All right, give him back.
All right, hold the phone on private enterprise taking over space for NASA. A Virgin Galactic flight test gone horribly wrong. A rocket exploding in flight after ignition of a rocket. This after an unmanned capsule that was going to send supplies up to the International Space Station exploded earlier this week. Rob, let alone what this means for those who might be entertaining private space travel, this was supposed to be our alternative to NASA and to our great glories that had somehow been priced out.
Well, I think this reminds the American public how dangerous spaceflight really is. You take guys like Branson and Elon Musk from SpaceX. Without the visionaries and the pioneers like these guys, our space program would be completely dead. The fact that NASA and the American government have basically abandoned it is a travesty. The fact that we have to pay the Russians to get ourselves to space
Well, now
is
we're
scary.
back in the same pickle, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that this stops all private activity, but it's going to cool it on funding.
I think you're exactly right, and it's so sad to me because this is a space where I want the federal government to be operating, and it seems like Washington just has their priorities entirely backwards. You know, they're funding studies for the mating habits of rabbits, but yet not space travel. So I think this should not be in private hands.
But I am wondering, too, then, if you're in Russia and you're looking at these twin disappointments this week for our space efforts, are you thinking, Adriana, that they're feeling that they're back in the driver's seat and any threat from America is put off a while?
Exactly. You know, it's not a confidence builder on the United States' side. We've had 2 failures in a week. They're tragedies. My heart goes out to the 2 pilots' families who are now unaccounted for with this Virgin Galactic flight. No, it doesn't look good. I mean, this is a country that can't even manage the rollout of a healthcare website. Okay, now we've had these 2 flights. I mean, Russia must be, you know, shaking their heads, just wondering what, you know, have we lost our mojo?
Well, they have nothing to fear that we're going to not continue hitching rides with them. But you mentioned something interesting, Rob, too, about what kind of appetite now exists for taking hikes into space on the part of the public. That was what, when I had Richard Branson here, that was what he was counting on.
I don't think it's going to stop people that want to go to space. I mean, you know, Richard Branson was specifically for, you know, space travel for the average, everyday, wealthy American. I don't think it's going to make people not want to go into space.
The average wealthy American is going to think twice. Get it down right before I hop up.
Right? There's still going to be an appetite for it. I don't think that this setback is going to make it go away.
We'll chill
I agree.
For a while.
I think it's going to raise insurance premiums. Minimum.
Yeah, certainly on
Health insurance premiums.
anything like this. And after a week like this, we'll see, guys. In the meantime, issue 2, what is going on with all of these deals? Walmart is readying massive discounts and wants to start its own Black Friday tomorrow. Amazon, the online retailer, doing pretty much the same thing. So, Kelly, I mean, it's one thing to go from Halloween and go to Thanksgiving and then go to Christmas. They're going right from Halloween.
I think it makes sense. I mean, last year was a tough holiday season. You know, Walmart lost compared to the years previous. So there's a huge competition to soak up what little demand there seems to be. So I completely agree with, you know, Walmart and Amazon. They're all trying to lure in the consumer.
At least have our turkey first?
Hey.
Walmart has taken a spanking, and this is just their way to get in the game. They always seem to be just a little bit late to the game, especially with the price matching. Now they're finally starting to price match. Now they're finally starting to have delivery deals. They're feeling their margins edge away from these bigger competitors.
Well, what I worry about is they'll all get the sales, but I guess for us it'll be great, because right now is Walmart wants to police what Amazon is offering and match the price immediately. So for customers, I mean, you'll get good deals, but these guys will be killing themselves for it, right?
That's right, and I feel bad for the retail workers, like let's say on Thanksgiving, that now these stores are open when these retail workers, you know, we should have leave Thanksgiving as a sacred holiday to spend time with your families. These poor retailers, these workers now have to work on that day because we have corporate America just pushing the final last dollar. So I like the old days when we shopped on Black Friday or before, but now we're just seeing it, you know, there's nothing sacred anymore.
I don't know that it's just corporate America. If you're looking at the screen now, you see the people piling in to shop.
Right.
Americans want to shop.
No, I know the third person to the right was my wife. But all right, on another item here, finally, mothers are on a rampage, having nothing to do with sales, but campaigning to remove Kardashian kids' clothing from Babies R Us because they say that it sexualizes kids. The mom behind this campaign telling us that she's now getting online threats, but after Toys R Us dropped Breaking Bad figures online, you got to wonder, whether there's a double standard. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I applaud this woman who started this petition. I disagree with the Kardashians' baby clothing line. I'm a mother of 3 kids. I don't believe any baby should be wearing any leather of any kind, black leather. They shouldn't be wearing leopard and sexy clothing at the whopping age of 6 months. This Kardashian line even has a leatherette diaper cover. I mean, this is insanity. Can we wait till girls grow up and be teens or adults before they start dressing sexy? I mean, I agree with this woman, and I think that all women should use the power of their pocketbook and boycott any retailer that doesn't speak to your values.
Yeah, but my problem isn't so much with the way the clothing looks, but the person behind it. Kim Kardashian is the worst role model for a young woman. She absolutely is. And to garb your child in something that she created, I think sets a terrible precedent for the rest of their lives. So, no.
If it was someone else, would you be okay with it?
You know, I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I feel exactly the way you feel from a very high level. But here's the thing, if there wasn't a demand for it, it wouldn't be out in the stores. I mean, this starts with the parenting. This is about parenting. This isn't about what's available in the marketplace. The market decides what they want to buy. Right. Unfortunately, they decide that they uphold the Kardashians, which I think is insane, but this is the country we live in.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird. I mean, there might be a clothing line on me, and that would be fine. Kardashian, really?